Good evening. You're watching Middle Tennessee Listens, or Mid-10 Listens as it's commonly called, and I don't stumble over it. I'm Brett Campbell with Middle Tennessee Music. Tonight I've got J.T. Hollis in the room with us. We're going to talk about some of his new music that's coming out and some of the things he's been up to over the last couple of years. I met J.T. Almost 2 years ago over on Twitter through some good friends at Butterflies Radio on their Twitter Tuesday live show, and we've been hanging out pretty much ever since then and having a good time with each other's company. So I really wanted to introduce you to J.T. Hollis and turn you on to some of his tunes. J.T., how are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing good, my friend. How about yourself?
It's been one of those days. So we'll talk about you.
Yeah, I understand. I've had like one of them days also.
So what's been going on the last couple months? So you've been pretty busy putting this record together, haven't you?
Oh, I tell you, it's been hectic, but it's been fun, you know. Just trying to get all the music together. Being the fact that I don't have a band right now, it's made it even harder. You know, can't take my guys into the studio and do it that way. So, you know, I had to coordinate the songs, coordinate the music, and all that stuff, and then get in and get it recorded and all that stuff. It's been a rough road. I've probably been working on getting this CD together and done for at least probably close to a year, to be honest, when I really think about it.
Takes a little while. What's it? Most of the guys that I hang with, we play our own music and whatnot, and I haven't had the experience of working without being able to play it myself. What's it like trying to round up the musicians and get all of that done to be able to make that record?
I tell you, man, it's hard to do. I mean, I got really lucky because I ran into a couple of gentlemen, J.D. Cole, or John Cole as he's called, and Vic Holderoyd, who provided most of the songs actually on the CD, and they were great people. They put up with me saying, "Hey, I like this song. No, wait, I don't think it fits," kind of thing, and everything. So it's, you know, you're kind of dependent on other people, which, and me being a lot like you know, I don't really like being dependent on other people to be able to get my music and stuff together, but I had to do what I got to do. You know, I've been trying to get this together for so long, and finally I said, okay, well, obviously we're going to have to do this solo and by ourselves, and you know, this is the route I'm going to have to go with it. And I'm glad I did, because it brought a lot of good stuff together, you know.
It sounds like it. I've been enjoying the songs that I heard, and the first one we were playing as we came in is called Last Call at Nashville Dave's. Is that and I should know, but is that a real joint?
Actually, no, it's not. However, you know, when I hit it big and you know, have Garth Brooks style money, I'm going to open a Nashville Dave's.
You're going to have to beat me to it at this point.
I got the rights now. No, but,
well, I don't know about that. Put that on paper, baby. You know, this is a music business.
That's true. I need to get in there and copyright that, don't I?
What got you into this? I mean, I know you did radio for a couple years or maybe longer and that kind of thing. What got you started trying to make music and sing songs?
I've been a singer all my life, man. I mean, somehow or another, I've always been involved in music, even if it was just singing along with songs on the radio, you know, and doing that kind of thing. And because the thing for me is, music makes me happy. I could have the worst day in the world, and I can sit there and get my hands on a couple of songs and sing those songs and just really belt them out. And as you well know, just doing that can make you feel better, can relieve a little bit of stress, a little bit of pressure, and all that kind of thing. And, you know, I've been doing music since I was a kid. I remember in high school singing solo competitions and barbershop quartets and that kind of thing. And just the feeling that I had inside, you know, when I was doing that, I felt like I was home. There's only 2 times I've ever really felt that way, and that's on stage singing and while I was in the military out in the woods doing my thing, you know. And it's always been there. It's just, you know, I got away from it for a little while as far as the seriousness of the music, but it came back one day, and I'm glad it did, you know.
Well, I think I am too, because I enjoy your tunes a whole lot. There's some good writing in there. And you mentioned that break in the service there, and I did want to.
Mhm.
You asked me earlier how bad I was going to grill you tonight. Of course, for those that have not seen Mid-10 Listens before, have not seen the way I run things, I
Right.
tend to come up with my questions on the spot.
Hmm. Those are
And
the
so,
worst ones, man.
yeah. Well, I like it that way, you know.
Right.
So I do want to first. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your service to the country, and I think you know I've got a great respect for
Mhm.
anyone who chooses to serve their country in the military, and it doesn't matter whether they're an American, Chinese, Korean, or what. If anybody that
Right.
lays their life on the line for their country
Mhm.
is a very special person indeed, and so thank you for that. And I'd love to talk to you a bit about that.
Okay.
Whatever you want to divulge, maybe, heck, what branch were you in? What did you do? And how did music play into that?
Um, to be honest, I think music and the military was at one point in life, when I first went in, it was actually two totally different entities. You know, I had the music on the one hand, and I had my military dream on the other. I can honestly say that going into the military was a childhood dream that I had for as long as I could remember, and it almost didn't happen. My mom, and I understand her reasons now that I've talked to her years later about it, but when I first brought the Marine Corps recruiter home, my mom said, no, not going to do it, not signing the papers, not going to do it. Got a little mad at my mom that day,
Right,
but
so,
obviously we got over that. About 2 weeks later, I brought home the Army recruiter. And I actually looked at my mom and told her, look, either you sign him or I'm going to sign him. One way or another, I'm going in. And with knowing that, she finally caved and signed the papers. And graduated from high school in June of 1987. And July 10th, 1987, I started basic training. U.S. Army Infantry Basic Training in Fort Benning, Georgia. And I can honestly say, and I truly believe this, if it was not for the military, I would probably not be alive today.
now that is
Because
an
I
interesting
was,
statement.
well, I was, how should I put this? As a young person, I was a dumbass. Plain and simple. I made a lot of dumb choices, did a lot of stupid things, and the path that I was on at the time, I would not be anywhere near where I'm at today because of it. Military definitely turned me around. Excuse me. But it was a childhood dream for as long as I can remember. You know, I can remember back when I was probably 6, 7, 8 years old. Playing with my little army men, saying, this is me, this is what I want to do. And being out in the woods and doing my thing there was when I felt I was at home. And the funny thing is, and I get this a lot, me being a country singer now, while I was in Germany, I was stationed over in Germany for 4.5 years. And while I was there, I was actually a lead singer for a company rock band that we got going. Which when I tell people that, they're like, you were a what? So, and that's kind of where the music came together with the military,
So were you, did you wind up writing songs and playing for your mates and that kind of thing, or just
Yeah, I was,
grooving?
we pretty much did all cover songs at that time. One of my favorites to do at the time was Every Rose Has Its Thorn. And we were doing the rock and stuff like that, and the southern rock, and just having fun with it. That was the main thing. And then I didn't really get into the songwriting until we got serious again about the music here about 7, 8 years ago, when the fire came back, and my wife Kay, we sat down and talked about it one day, and she straight out told me, she says, if this is what you want, I'm behind you 1,000%. And from that day on, it's been pretty much nothing but the music, you know. First song I ever wrote was one called Me and You in the Red, White, and Blue, which there's a lot that goes in behind that song. When I served in Desert Shield, Desert Storm in 1991 for the first Gulf War, as people like to call it. And in the middle of the night one night, I was out in the foxhole doing guard duty, and these words just started coming into my head. And I never understood why until, like I said, about 8 years ago when they came back. And that was the first song that I ever wrote. And I've been slowly progressing my songwriting skills from that point.
Would you be willing to sing us a few lines of that a cappella?
Oh, my goodness.
Or are you going to pull one of my things and not be able to remember your own song?
Well, this was one of the first songs I ever wrote. And it's actually been a long time since I've done anything with it. But it was an interesting song because it was part talkie, part singing. To where, you're talking, you're doing the old talkie song through part of it, and then you're kind of going into the vocal singing for the chorus. And it's, I wish I could pull the words up for it real quick, but I don't have it on this computer. Let me think for a second here. See, I knew you were going to put me on the spot tonight.
Yeah, well, you knew that. I'll let you think on it for a few minutes.
Okay.
And we're checking in over here at Google Plus, and I told you you're going to be on your own for watching Facebook for anything. My computer's trying to catch fire. Diane Cobb has checked in. She says, thank you very much for serving in the military. Much respect. And she enjoyed the tune. And Randy Hunt wonders if you might have known Jimmy Kruchek. They were in together, and he went into a band, and Jimmy evidently just got out after 30 years, and he's left you a link to Jimmy's Facebook profile there in case you want to catch up with that later on.
Randy Hunt, that name sounds really, really familiar. I would have to
I've been following Randy for a while.
Right, I would have to ask where in Germany they were stationed. I was in Aschaffenburg, is where I was.
Schaffenberg. I could almost try to figure out how to spell that. Schauffenberg.
Close, but no cookie for you.
Oh, well. There's cookies in the house. I'll get one later.
It's actually Aschaffenburg.
Oh, man.
You were close.
I was close. I should have remembered. I should have thought of that. It's almost always the U in Germany.
Right.
And,
yeah,
I think you can see the comments here in the chat within the Hangout. Very nice stuff there. That's very cool. Yeah. So, I guess at this point we've talked about a record coming out and that kind of thing. You want to let people know where they can find some J.T. Hollis music?
Well, there's actually two different versions of the CD out. There's a 13-track version and a 10-track version. The 10-track version you can find on CD Baby and iTunes just by doing a search for J.T. Hollis. The 13-track version, which has, it's got a song called Outlaws that was written by a good friend of mine, Tim Weems. That's on the CD. There's also one called Country Boy Saturday Night that was written by D. Desiree, who's another good friend of mine that I met on Facebook here a while back. And then there's my military support song, which is one of those that pulls at my heartstrings. It's called Heroes on the Streets. Those three songs are on the 13-track CD that you can get on my website at jt-hollis.com.
Don't forget the little short line thing in between the T and the H, right?
the little dash in there.
Not the equals sign, the one beside it that you should hit when you hit the equals sign.
Let me look at my keyboard. Yeah, the one to the left.
I have a hard time with the dash button for some reason. I've had a lot of good friends serve in a lot of different ways, and a lot of them have told me some really interesting stories. And I'm curious. I know how the music affects those that are trapped over there and sequestered away from the rest of society and the things that are going on. I'm curious, how does that make the musician feel? What does that do for the musician?
You know, for me, it's almost the highest high you could feel as an artist, in my opinion, to know that the music that you put out and the things that you do are able to transport people who are in one of the worst, most stressful type situations you can be in. And even if it's for 3 or 4 minutes, you can transport those people from where they are to a happy place. You know, you can transport them back home to where they're sitting with their family, and sitting with their friends and just relaxing and having a good time. Knowing that something as simple as me singing a couple of lines in a song can do that for somebody, especially knowing personally what they've been through. That's everything to me, you know. And that's the only way I can describe it. I mean, I try not to think about that because I know how emotional I get about it. But it does. To me, it means the world. It honestly and truly does.
It's awesome.
You know?
I know the feeling of touching someone with a song. I can only imagine the added emotion that goes with that. And,
yeah.
Wow, big props.
And, you know, I mean, you've been on stage and you know what it feels like to look out on an audience and see them out there dancing and having fun and laughing and all that. You take that feeling and you multiply it by 1,000,000. You know, and I think you might be in the range of how that feels, if that makes any sense.
That makes sense, but it's almost impossible for me to think of multiplying that feeling by 1,000,000. I would explode.
Exactly, and that's what it feels like sometimes, you know. I've gotten messages before from people who have, you know, somehow heard Me and You in the Red, White, and Blue, and have been over in Iraq or Pakistan or wherever, and they've gotten a hold of me and just said, you know what, that song is so true. Because Me and You in the Red, White, and Blue talks about, look, you know, we don't want to be called heroes. You know, we're not superstars. We don't get paid enough for the hell that we go through. But we're here because we want to be, you know, and to get that kind of reaction from somebody, you know, it makes me feel right. It makes me know that I'm doing the right thing, you know, and that's what it's all about to me. It's not about the money. It's not about the fame and the fortune and everything else. It's about doing things for people.
Doing things for people. That's what it's all about. We had a great time talking with George Miller about a similar subject today. And I think that's why I do a lot of what I do. I hope that I'm doing good things, and I hope that somebody benefits out of it. I know I sure do.
Right.
Okay, here's one for you.
Okay.
From Diane Cobb. And by the way, Diane and Randy Hunt, I just dropped a link in the event page there. If you care to join us, just please make sure your microphone's muted when you get here. And we'll get you in and let you say hi and ask a couple questions. And Diane wants, she says, let's go to fun mode for a minute. And she wants to know, what's the worst song you ever wrote, and did your wife say, heck no?
Actually, you know, I've been lucky to this point, because at first I thought you were going to say, what was the worst song that you ever had to sing? But I guess we're going to have to go down another road here. To this point, I haven't written that worst song, but there's one that I'm kind of working on right now that I think might fit into that category. And I told her a little bit about it, but I haven't gotten any more of the words done yet. It's called Fantasy World. And Brett, knowing how your mind works, I know where that just went. But we haven't gotten any further with it yet, and I have the feeling that might be one of those that fits in there. But that's the thing is, I always go to Kay. She's supported me 1,000% in everything I do, and I take a song to her and I give it to her and I say, "What do you think of this?" And she doesn't have to say a word. I can just watch her face and know if she likes it or not. And I haven't gotten one of those where she looks at me and starts looking for a hammer to throw at me at this point. I'm sure I'll come up with one eventually, though.
All right, so what's the worst song you ever had to sing?
And it's nothing against the song. I love the song, but it's just not me. It's not my style. It's, oh my God, cover of Rolling Stones.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and
I like the song.
It's a good song, but I have a terrible time trying to sing it too.
I love the song. It's a great song. Don't get me wrong, please, and don't hate me and burn my image and effigy and all that good stuff. But it just wasn't me. It's not my style, and that kind of thing. And the first group that I performed with, as the drummer, loved to sing the song, loved to play the song. So I ended up. It's a little bit of give and a little bit of take, and that was where I had to give. And once the drummer left, the first thing I did was I looked at everybody else in the band and said, "This song is out of the rotation." I will not deny that.
Yeah. Everybody has to call a couple, and it's really funny. Sometimes it's a song you absolutely love, but you can't sing it. Or you can sing it great in the shower and you hit the stage and you feel a fool.
Yep.
Cool stuff.
Yep.
So, yeah, and Kay, I mean, you're blessed. I'm real sure that somewhere in the religious texts it says that there's no better blessing a man can have than a good wife. And regardless whether that's in the religious texts or not, I think it should be, because there's no better blessing a man can have than a good wife. But what more blessing can a musician ask than not only a good wife, but one that at least tries to understand, one that will listen to those songs? Wow. So for your wife, thumbs up, ×2. Can we get a thumbs up for good wives, good musician wives?
4 thumbs up here.
All right.
Most definitely. And I have to give her credit because she was actually one of the main forces behind I think it was the second song that I wrote called "Sometimes It Takes Patience."
We were talking about patience as we were trying to get this thing rolling.
Yes, we were. And I was getting really frustrated because I wasn't making any progress. The music wasn't going anywhere and everything. I was getting really frustrated. And she sat there one day and looked at me and says, "Look, sometimes it takes patience." 5 minutes later, the song "Sometimes It Takes Patience" was written.
That's the way my favorites come out. Nice and quick. You get that inspiration and bang. So how long does it normally take you to write a tune?
Oh, man, I tell you, I've ranged anywhere from 5 minutes with "Sometimes It Takes Patience" to the memorial song that I wrote for my nephew that took me 7 months and 5 different versions to write.
Understood completely.
Yeah.
And I think there's some stuff sitting in some notebooks over there that's still saying, "Finish me."
Oh yeah, I've got a couple of those too.
And if Diane were to ask me the worst song question, I would have probably just held up a notebook about yay thick and said, "These."
Take your pick. Take your pick.
These that you haven't heard.
Right. Ones that have not actually found all the paper yet.
Yes. So
Gotcha.
needs some more paper or some ink or something. Or every now and then the waste bin works real well.
Swift kick in the butt to get it finished.
Mm-hmm.
Been there too.
Great. What you got coming up for us? You going to get out and tour and support the record like you did the last one and that kind of thing?
That's the plan. I'm actually looking at trying to do like some little opening act type things for bands in the area and that kind of thing, just to get out there, get a little bit of more local exposure. I actually had an offer to do a Relay for Life benefit show. They're gonna, they want the entertainment while the folks are walking. I was gonna do that, but I actually have a wedding I have to do that day, so I kind of threw that out of the link. But right now I'm pretty much reaching out and grabbing anything I can get my hands on to try and get a little bit of attention and some steam rolling for the CD.
And you're over there in, gosh, the middle of nowhere. I thought I lived in the middle of nowhere, south of Nashville, but you're over in Indiana. What part of Indiana you're in?
I'm in Granger, Indiana, just outside of South Bend.
Is that where the big parts company that I order compressor parts and plumbing parts and everything else from is, Granger?
What's the name of it?
Granger?
No, they're not in. They're not actually in the city. I think they're a couple towns away from us. I'm not positive though, but I know they're not in South Bend.
Okey-dokey. We're on the air. You want to say hi real quick?
Hi.
This is Food Face.
Hey, looking good. You look more and more like your dad.
JS says you look like me.
Yeah, more and more.
All right. I'm gonna turn this guy on to some of your songs, JT. I think he'll like them. And
Well, I appreciate that. I had a lot of fun putting this new CD together, and it's got songs that pretty much cover the gamut as far as emotionally. But what I really like about it, and something I've always wanted to do, and I've been trying to concentrate on with the music, is to incorporate an old country feel with the newer country music. Kind of bridge that gap between the two. And
now you're not talking about trying to pull a Billy Ray thing and have some get into rap and twerking and
No.
As a non-country person, can I make a comment about that?
Sure.
No, JS, just shut up. No, yes, please.
I think
JS Matthew.
I think JT would do very well in Newport and South County in Rhode Island because they're big country fans, and his way is kind of like that way. And I'm telling you, they take to it really quick. I really think so. I think you can get a lot of like the vegan stores and the little stores to sell your CD. If you can get out there and perform, I don't know how you're in Georgia,
Indiana.
Oh, that's far.
It's a little bit of a drive.
Just a little bit. I mean, it'd take me a couple of months to get there if I was to throw on my walking boots and get going.
Well, it's funny because in my area, I'm Mass, Rhode Island. I'm right on the border, and I work in both states. So they're both small states, and it's not a big country thing. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of country out there.
Right.
98.1 Cat Country. I've told these guys about it before. A lot of it's crap country, unless you like the guys like. I don't want to babble, but like. Unless you like the top 40 country, like Alan Jackson, blah, blah. If you really listen to the channel, you'll find like new and incoming artists, and I think that makes the difference.
Right.
And I wonder about areas, outside of Nashville. Being so close to Nashville, country music is practically bred into you, whether you like it or not. As a matter of fact, I absolutely hated it in the 80s. Would start fights because of it. And at this point, I've come to really respect real country music. I think it's a fantastic style of music, and the people that make country music are fantastic people by and large for the most part. But it's Nashville. It lives and breathes country music. You cannot throw a rock without hitting a country guitarist. You can't get a gig because there's no money, and there's 4,000 other guys trying to get the same gig. And so, yeah, I really wonder about the other areas of the country. I know that country music is very popular all over. As a matter of fact, country sales eclipsed top 40 sales, pop sales for the first quarter this year for the first time in over a decade. And I mean, just really made them look silly.
People are sick of Justin Timberlake and they want to hear country.
Right. And that's why I won't move to Nashville. I put it this way, if I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make it the hard way. I'm not going to go and start where country music basically is bred. I'm going to come in from the outside. I'm not going to do it from being on TV.
Right.
and that kind of thing with the voice and those kind of things. You know, I truly
Those
and
ruin it all, in my opinion. Sorry.
no, that's right. And you know, the thing of it is you know, I'm not saying that the people that go on The Voice and things like that they haven't paid their dues and earned the right to be there, because they have. And you know, I want to do it the right way. You know, I want to work my way up and that kind of thing, and I want to do it in a style that's unique. And that's the thing. And when you listen to the new CD, you're going to get a new country feel, but an old country sound to them. And that's what I really like is being able to combine the two feels, you know. And you know, it's not the quote unquote twangy old country sound.
Right,
but
like my
it's
dog died on Thursday, my wife left me on Wednesday, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
right. I did a song backwards on Friday and got my dog back on Saturday.
Yeah, I
You
think
know, but
personally, I think that you know, you mentioned doing it the hard way. You want to do it the hard way? Move to Nashville. That's where you'll do it the hard way. And you know, I think you know Billy Kay, out in Las Vegas for a long time. He's been here in Middle Tennessee now for about a year. He was just discussing a possible move to Nashville
right.
earlier today, and one of his friends says, "Oh yes, definitely move to Nashville. You'll make so much more money playing." I'm sorry, but this particular friend of Billy's doesn't know much about Nashville.
Well, Nashville, every third person you meet is a like awesome performer. So it's like, are you better than me? Yeah. Shit.
Well, yeah,
Like
I
really.
don't know. That's just subjective stuff.
Well, yeah, it is. But
So, let's see, we did the website, and again, that's jt-hollis.com.
Right.
And, of course, on Google+, JT Hollis, and the Facebook is JT Hollis fan page, right?
That is correct.
Cool. And I
I'm
know that...
also on Reverb Nation. You can do a search for either JT Hollis or Passion Singer JT.
That's the email address that I always forget. Okay, now I got it back a year later.
Right, exactly.
Right. And on Twitter, if I remember correctly, it's just JT Hollis, right? Correct. Cool.
Can never have too many followers, you know.
Great. Diane's actually put us a link in here to Tammy Wynette's song, "Stand By Your Man." Yeah, and we know where that came from in the conversation. Thank you, Tammy Wynette, and thank you, Diane Cobb.
Stand by your man.
I want to also say thank you to June Gall, who's joined us tonight here in the green room, and to J.S. Matthews over in Boston. And our good buddy Aaron Young has helped us out, and the backside of things. Thank you very much, guys. Yeah. I think we should give a shout out. We've talked about Diane enough, but definitely say hi to Randy again. And your good friend Robert Rivers at riverheadradio.com. A nice plug for him. Tell us a little bit how you know Robert. He says he's interviewed you before, and I believe maybe the station's got a couple of your songs in rotation.
Yeah, Robert Rivers with Riverhead Radio. I'm actually working with a lady by the name of Jody Dickey, who's doing a little bit of promotional work for me right now. And she actually introduced me to him. Actually, she introduced him to me. And he listened to a couple of songs, got a hold of me, and we spent, hours talking on the phone just about me and about the music and, you know, kind of like we're doing now. And he's put several of the songs in the rotation on his radio station. Outlaws is one of them. Last Call at Nashville Days is another one. And both of those are actually on his top 50 chart right now for the last couple of weeks. Outlaws just broke in, and Last Call at Nashville Days has been working its way up the charts here for a little while. So more than honored. And the neat thing for me with Riverhead Radio is it's a mixed genre station. It's not just country. He plays multiple genres, and as far as I know, his top 50 countdown that he does on Fridays is a mixed genre countdown.
Oh, neat.
That goes off of requests that have come in throughout the week, and you know, it's all independent. It's not, you know, that's the cool thing.
Very
And
groovy. Well, I'd say that guy's probably picked up a couple fans out of this room right here, just on that.
yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, you tune into the station, he's got a lot of great music on there, and get a hold of him. You know, if you're a musician, submit your music to him. You know, there's a big plug for him. There you go.
Yeah, certain. And that's, again, riverheadradio.com, Mr. Robert Rivers. And, JT, you were doing a show with, oh, shit, I knew a minute ago, Outlaw Country, was that right?
With Outlaw Country, no.
You would, I swear you were doing a show, what, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago?
Well, I've done a couple of different radio shows.
Any plans to do anything like that in the future?
You know, it's a possibility. I've stepped away from it. I probably stepped away from it about a year and a half ago to really be able to concentrate on the music, and you know, and instead of having my concentration going in 12 different directions, you know, I wanted to cut it down to where, you know, I'm concentrating on my wife and the family stuff, and then work and my music. You know, I wanted to be able to focus my efforts a little bit more, and so I stepped away from DJing, but I love doing it because, you know, it's fun to bring music to people, you know, and you've heard a couple of my shows. I'm a nut on air. You know, I throw out my crazy redneck voices and everything else and just have fun with it. And I'm the same way on stage. But there always is a possibility of going back, because I did enjoy doing it. I really enjoyed being able to do that and have fun with it and everything. So there's a good possibility we may do that again.
I'd like to see that happen, for sure.
Got to find
Very
the right.
cool.
Got to find the right radio station.
Well, we're coming up on I think we've gone a couple minutes past an hour.
Okay.
Take a moment for if Aaron or JS or June have a question they want to ask real quick, and then I guess we'll wrap up.
Sounds good. I do want to.
I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you and keep going. You know, JT, keep going. Brett, thanks for interviewing JT. This is something new for me. Awesome. Keep it going, man. I can't wait to hear what you guys are going to come out with next.
Glad you joined us, Matt.
Yeah, it was good to have you along, Matt, and you know, I'm glad you enjoyed what you heard, and hopefully you'll like the rest of it that comes out too.
Good deal, good deal. So again, thanks to Robert at Riverhead Radio. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Jess Matthew. Thank you, June Gall. And I also want to, again, thank the people that introduced myself and JT Hollis, Carol and Mark over at butterfliesradio.com. Great folks. JT, it's been a blast. You can find JT at jt-hollis.com. And, of course, I'm at middletennesseemusic.com. This has been a lot of fun. And we're going to take you out here with another one of JT's songs. And this one is called Sometimes It Takes Patience.
All acoustic, fun song.
I was sitting at the corner, waiting on a light. I've been running behind almost all of my life. One foot on the brake and one on the gas. If they don't get out my way, I'll find a way to pass. Avoiding the delays by skipping on some steps. Trying to get ahead, not thinking about the rest. Flying through the day, running all the way, pushing for the dream that seems so far away. Sometimes it takes patience.